If you're Asian and you go to a Thai restaurant and you only get pad Thai, shame on you, right? Because you're being too basic.
Yes.
And you're not even doing the work to understand other groups that are not your own.
Welcome to the Worst Asian Podcast, where a couple Asian American millennials give you our shitty opinions on all things Asian. My name's Linji. I'm here with my co-host, as per usual, Ben.
Hey man, what's up, dude?
For the one time that we went outdoors to do an interview, I didn't have to chug around the giant light that we normally bring around.
Yeah, it's also weird. Like we're not using headphones this.
We're not using headphones. Only I'm using headphones, and there's actually a great view behind us, but much better than my usual living room setup.
You look like you're fucking working for CNN right now.
Do I?
Yeah. No, why are you looking over there? I'm looking at your earpiece, man.
Oh, my earpiece. Oh, I didn't look out the window and everything.
No.
Okay, just get right into it. Our guests today, guests plural. You guys know them if you're in the Asian American community, if you've watched YouTube for a while, like I did back when I was a kid in high school and like college and everything. These guests right now, you guys know them for sure. You know, back in the days when it was just it was like Wong Fu, our guests right now, Kev Jumba.
Oh shit.
Ryan
Higa.
Yes, I almost said very carefully there. Like from the OGs of YouTube. Let's bring them onto the podcast. The Fung Bros, aka David and Andrew Fung.
Thank you for having us,
What's
man.
up?
I appreciate it.
I'm so happy to be on the Worst Asian Podcast, and
Thank
I love
you.
the name because it shows so much of that Asian humility. Because you guys didn't want to call it the Best Asian Podcast.
Impossible.
You want to show humility and be humble. It's very Confucian.
I tell people the exact same shit. You gotta set the bar very low. You set the expectations really low, so when people see your content, you know, it's not that bad. It's not as bad. It's not as bad as you would normally think it is.
No expectations whatsoever. If this failed, it's like, okay.
And I love that it's like all the New York-based podcasts collabing, you know what I mean? Because right now in LA, all the LA podcasts are collabing and stuff like that. So it's cool to see, you know, not that it's, you know, a competition or anything like that.
But it kind
we
of
used
is.
to live out in LA.
Kind of is.
You guys have only been here for a couple of years, but I like to say you guys are honorary New Yorkers by now. Do you guys
Thank
feel?
you. Are you able to hand that pass out to us? Would the rest of
The
New
card?
York be like,
You're
yeah,
like, I'm from China, but yes,
hey,
I
you know, Lingjie has given the Fung Bros the pass.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what?
But
I
thank
think,
you.
yeah.
No.
It's been 5 years. 5 years or so. 5 years is
appreciate it.
probably not enough, I would say.
Feels longer than that, actually. I feel like I've
no,
known you
because
guys
we've been
forever.
moving in and out of New York.
You know what
like,
I'd like to say is that I feel like we've been impactful or effective in New York for several years.
but
Fair enough.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, we still travel a lot. We still go back and forth.
I
Seattle,
like New
everything.
York, though.
yeah.
I love New York.
Where are you guys based out of? Like, where were you guys originally when you were kids? West Coast, right?
Yeah, we grew up in South Seattle, Kent, Washington, and then we moved to LA after college. After going to UW, and then we lived in LA in 626 San Gabriel Valley. Shout
Spent
out.
a year in K-Town though.
Yeah, we did.
Spent a year in K-Town.
That was our first year in LA.
year in downtown
really?
LA.
And we got mistaken for Korean so much.
Actually, yeah, Andrew, you look very Korean.
I was gonna say the same
Look,
shit.
I am,
Andrew looks much more Korean.
I am a Korean passing, yeah.
Yes.
So I was
I felt safe.
Yeah, I got turned down by a lot of Korean girls though.
Really?
Being like, "Are you Korean?" I'd be like,
Did they
"No,
test your
I'm
Korean?
Chinese." And then they're like, "Oh, okay." And then they walk away.
You could have just played it off. You're a Korean American that didn't speak Korean.
It's okay.
This is before Korean girls started dating Chinese guys. I
Yeah.
feel like the last 5 years, I noticed a lot more Korean girls dating Chinese guys.
Is this from personal experience?
Just yeah,
Got him.
I
Got
see,
him.
but 5 years prior, it was
Andrew's
like,
like, I plead the fifth.
it was only the other way around. So don't. It's not unfair now. You guys been getting Chinese girls for a while now.
Yo, we keep you scoring now.
But I'm saying
Let's not keep
I'm
score.
just saying
Don't keep
Korean
score.
girls
Don't
are
keep
open
score.
to Korean
Go,
girls
don't.
are open to getting with Chinese guys the last 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Chinese boys are nice, is what they say.
Chinese boys are nice.
I don't know how you guys are treating them over on that side.
Come on.
I'm not at liberty to speak on the stories that I heard, but I just heard some things, man.
Oh, damn. Well, it was nice also, like, just like chilling in K-Town. You
Yeah.
know? You know, we used to always go to like MK and shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, yo, David, yo, you got $1? You know, like, yo.
You were begging them for money.
Yeah,
What the
no, I
hell was
wasn't.
this?
No, we would always be at Buddha.
Yeah, Buddha. Would be a
Buddha.
lot.
Shout out to Buddha.
And
No,
then
I
maybe-
remember Ben had some baddies at Buddha, man.
Yo,
I remember
dude, we're-
Ben used to pull up to
No.
Buddha with
Yo,
some
we're recording,
baddies,
guys.
man.
Guys, chill. That was fucking.
That's on the record. You're
Call
still
you
single.
Big Ben.
Oh, man.
Big Benny.
Damn.
So do you guys feel New Yorkers? Do you feel like a real New Yorker yet? Personally speaking, besides me giving you the card.
Right. We could do personal. I don't know if we feel different about it. We're different people, by the way.
I never really looked at it that way, but I always felt like growing up in Seattle, it snows. It is a little bit different from the rest of the West Coast. Everybody's favorite rapper in South Seattle was Nas.
Oh, really?
That's not a common West Coast answer for everybody to
That's-
love
yeah,
Nas.
I'm actually
You know,
surprised by
everybody
the
knows
answer.
Nas is good, but like,
Yeah, but that area.
because you got to think Seattle's very rainy and like
I think,
rainy.
like,
Like people
Nirvana.
listen to primo beats and stuff. It's kind of very, at least in the urban scene in Seattle, it is very
Boom bappy.
It is.
Kinda like-
It's very boom bappy. It could be very Bay Area influence too, depending if you're more from like Tacoma. But like,
oh, damn.
it just is very boom bappy. So I think that when you have that boom bap background,
yeah.
it's a pretty easy transition.
Long story short, I feel like I'm not gonna say I'm a New Yorker and give myself that title. I don't think I'm. Who cares?
You can
I'm not
say
in
it.
charge of that. But I don't feel out of place here when I walk around and I look at things about the neighborhood and the different cultures and the different enclaves and different things going around. That stuff I've been exposed to for a very long time, and whether it was through media or being physically here. So I feel like I can move.
Like there's no words that even I hear like, you know, like 50-year-olds say that are from like, you know, the old
Okay.
days. They're more like KRS-One,
No,
like
no,
word up.
KRS-One.
Like I still know everything
Yeah.
that they're
Like, I
saying.
like-
Yeah.
There's nothing that's like, oh, what does that word mean? What do
I
they
feel like I can have a conversation with locals of every group.
I was going to
here.
say, you guys sound like you're from New York, like born and raised New Yorkers, to be honest.
Can I tell you one thing though? There's a funny story. We're in Brooklyn several years ago, getting
Yeah.
to grab a slice of pizza.
Okay.
And this big Italian guy, and this is the first time I had heard this phrase.
Yeah, Vinny's
So we
there.
go, oh, can we get a pepperoni slice? And this was like 7-8 years ago. And he goes, stay or go. And I'm like, what? Stay or go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and at that moment I felt like a Chinese immigrant because I was like,
Yeah.
are you speaking? Is that Italian? What do you think?
Can you write it? Can you write it down,
like,
sir?
hey, let me slow it
those
down.
are the moments. Those are the moments that remind me I'm not from here because
Yeah.
I'll still get tripped up. 2 questions: which PS did you go to? I can't.
Oh.
142. I just make it up, and then that's one question I get
He
tripped
just
up
uses
on.
the area code.
And then the other one is stay or go. If I get tripped up by that, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I lost my card for the day. I'm not because I got tripped up by
Oh.
something that a native New Yorker would never get tripped up by.
PS is a native New Yorker thing. I
We
guess.
just think it's like
Oh,
regular
yeah.
slang. But
I didn't know that.
We would never say
Bro,
PS.
you know the first time
the
the first time I heard a PS because this is
I think a PlayStation too.
but they didn't rap about it in like Jay-Z doesn't talk about PS, right?
Yeah,
So-
he doesn't.
But the first time I heard about it was Hey Arnold.
Really?
Yeah.
they went to a PS public school.
Yeah. In Hey Arnold, they were
I do
like,
not remember this
oh,
shit.
PS 143 or something. And then I was like, PS, what
I'm
is
gonna start
PS?
using that. That's my new public school.
Yeah.
I'll start being like,
No,
yeah,
if you
please.
guys have a PS, that's like super legit. Like, you know.
By the
We
way,
do.
what Andrew was saying before, don't explain it. Listeners, if you can guess what the person was trying to say to him when he was ordering pizza, stay or go. Okay, we're not going to explain this. I mean,
Right.
to you and
Most
me,
people will
to
get
our
it, but-
ears, we could hear it right away, right?
Yeah.
I guess the first time that you heard it, that must have been like a bit confusing or whatnot.
You're like,
Yeah.
please write it down.
Oh, one other thing I have to say: we used to break dance and
no way.
like for real break dance, and so it's like
you just
that is-
battled.
that
Not officially.
not an official battle. I
But
wasn't
we
that good.
performed.
I could do
performed.
flares and windmills. I
Talent
probably
show.
could still
You
do
do
it.
the
I probably
like,
could.
what's that shit called? The one where you just stand up with your legs? Turtle? What's it
Freezes
called?
and stuff like
Oh,
that.
is that what it's
Poses.
called?
I
Yeah.
do. We used to do the tabletop. We used to
Yeah.
So when you are just doing and you know Jay Park is from Seattle, there's a huge b-boy scene in Seattle that
Oh.
and they keep it super true school in Seattle. Like it's almost like just the up rock and the down rock. Anything. Anyway, basically it's very elemental hip hop. People are still into turntablism. So it's almost like
Right.
it maintains this like 1993
the old school kind of vibe. kind of
old
thing.
school New York vibe. And that's still the type of hip hop we have in Seattle. Like to
Oh,
this
shit.
day.
like a
almost.
lot of hip, like Seattle rappers are still kind of boom bappy.
Like they're so like they're
Like there is the modern,
inspired.
there's
They're
the modern
inspiration.
style that is
But
doing
it's
like
not
trap
popular. It's
or,
not but it's not popular.
but the boom bap like is definitive of the classic Seattle rapper.
Oh, crap,
I guess
didn't
is
know
what
that.
I'd say from
Yeah,
my
I'm so
era.
blown away that you guys said Nas was like a lot of rappers from Seattle's
Yeah.
inspiration. So I wouldn't.
yeah, because I think it's just rainy and it's introspective and it's intellectual.
Yeah.
And it's
Last
just-
thing about the Seattle area, in my opinion, there's a lot of different accents around. So you don't
Really?
have one single accent. So some people kind of talk like they're from the East Coast, like New York. Some people talk like they're more from the Bay or LA.
Yeah.
And then there's the people who kind of have like the neutral accent, but there's a little bit of everything. And then there's some country folk like out east, you go
in the farmland. Yeah.
30 minutes.
In Seattle?
Because Seattle's basically the last major American city to be developed.
Because so far west and up.
Yeah, and
Oh.
if you look at the way things develop in America, it's
Right.
the last major economy in America to be developed. So it's actually a city full of transplants. That's why they say Seattle, like Mariners or Seahawks fans, are fair weather fans. Because like when it's like
Oh.
established, like Philly, one of the 13 original colonies, people like they'll ride or die
You
for
grew
the
up with
team.
that team, yeah.
For
Right.
like you're 10 generations back. Seattle's like nobody really been a Seahawks fan. Like even your dad
Yeah.
You probably not even from Seattle. You know what I mean? Like you came for an industry or
Yeah,
whatever.
we love sports so much we let the Sonics go. That's how much we.
Oh damn!
I'm just kidding.
People forget about that.
Oof.
I know some of my Seattle friends. They'd
Durant
be
spent
like,
his first
But
year.
yeah,
in
I
Seattle.
just
anyway.
still heard about that.
all this
I just still
discussion,
heard. I can see on his face like, damn.
all
bro.
this discussion to say that I feel like New York really shows us a lot of love, and we try to contribute to that too, and not just like consume it, but like actually add something to the pot.
Yeah.
do you add more than you take away from the city? I think that is a question, and I think about it all the time, actually. And I think that not only do I like New York because New York embraces me, but I feel like I'm effective here. And I feel like that I can move in. I feel like that New York understands what we do better than any other place that I've been in.
I wish I felt like that. You guys are more New York than me. That's what I think.
Ben feels like the city doesn't want him at all.
I feel like I'm a negative at this point. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good because like we were talking off air before how maybe where you had like hypothetical thoughts about possibly in the next 5 years, maybe if things went the right way, you would settle down here. So like that's always a good sign that you've come to the city, you like it enough that you can possibly picture yourself here like midterm, long term here. So that's always good.
Yeah, maybe my kid goes to a PS.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, just to bring it back a little bit, right? I want to talk about like those first early days of YouTube because now it's a little bit different. If you ask like a lot of young people now, Gen Z, whoever, what they want to do when they grow up, like content creator, YouTuber, that's up there, like top tier, right?
TikToker.
Yeah, TikToker, content creator, whatever. Like
Tiki-taki.
somehow that's like a job that they want. No
Want
longer
to ask pop up with the iPhone and ask people ratchet questions on the street.
all people
Yeah.
with the mics on the street. Yeah,
How
that's
much you
exactly what
make?
they want to do.
How many bodies you got?
I want to
Can-
be
can
a
I check out
hot
your apartment?
influencer that gets flown out to places. That's a lot of dreams. I want to get sponsored.
But like back in your day when YouTube was like just a new thing, when you guys went into YouTube, were you doing it for fun or did you actually think you would like turn into what's it been like a 10, 15 year career so
Yeah.
far?
I thought we'd be even bigger by now. To be
Yeah.
honest, that's how ambitious I
Even
went
back
into
in
it.
the day when you first
yeah,
started?
no, for sure.
So we didn't like. We're not natively YouTube guys. Like we were doing stand up comedy, music performance, like very live performance type people.
Yeah.
Or I was thinking about acting and stuff like that. But we had done a little bit of YouTube in Seattle. But when we got to LA and we knew those guys and we had networked with like Wong Fu and those guys are all a lot of good guys, a lot of nice guys. Shout out to Wong Fu, AJ Raphael, those guys. Then and we're like, oh, this is a career. And we see Kev Jumba doing it, you know, and we're like, okay, so people are doing, this is another platform that we don't have to wait for the industry to pick us up. We create our own content and it is a career. It is true that we saw it as a career too, but we also saw it as a way to express our creative.
Because we had already been doing stand up in Seattle, and Russell Peters had already popped off on like Napster
shit,
and Morpheus and all that.
Shout out to Napster.
That Canadian special had already gone viral at that time, but we just knew that nobody wanted to watch Asians that looked like they were like 16 years old on a comedy stage. Because
Right.
I
yeah.
knew that because I was doing open mics and
You
people
felt
would
it?
say racist stuff when they were bringing us up. Or like racial, maybe it's not racist,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Right.
just making
they'd be like,
commentary.
"Oh yeah, here are these Asian guys," and you're like, "Man, I don't even like this open mic environment. How am I going to rise up this system?" And obviously,
Right.
some people did, and they did well for themselves. Other people didn't, but like, I was like, "Let's just go the self-produced independent route." You know what I mean?
And YouTube was that potential
because
right there. you
everybody
saw.
from California, not everybody was. Ryan Higgins from Hawaii, Kev Jumbo was from Houston, but like for the most part, everybody was from California. So we were the Seattle guys who came down.
Okay.
And your parents never had any pushback about this? Because the plus side is you guys have like an older sister, so she has a more conventional career,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
There was, I think at first they saw it as a phase. They saw it as like us going, because we had just finished college, so they kind of saw it as like us going to grad school. In a
Oh,
way
was
that
the
they were
next
like,
step.
they were like, oh, 3 years, okay, come back, you can get a good job. And then it's funny, even when we had started making a decent living, and we were well into it, like 6, 7 years in.
We were lucky in the sense that we popped like within a year and a half of moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we had like newspaper articles, write-ups, radio interviews.
But you better believe my dad did ask literally 7 years in, like, hey, do you guys want to go to law school maybe? Have you guys thought about this?
Yeah.
Andrew, why don't you go back to maybe apply for UCLA grad school? You write a dissertation on the entertainment industry.
It will make for very compelling material to the academic council. At one point you're so successful in
I
this,
hope your dad really does
in this
something.
hobby, you know?
I hope
That's
he
how my
does
dad
something.
thinks. He's like, write the dissertation, and then maybe after they see your paper, maybe they want to make your film. I'm like, that's not how it works.
And you guys never wanted to like follow that though. Like there was never one point back then that you thought, hey, maybe I should do a more conventional job. Like this was always where it was. Because I assume at some point it was like a roller coaster, right? It was a very bumpy road. You probably had good times, good years, good months, whatever. there has to be like some downtimes when you guys even had a like small thought. Maybe you thought it was a phase
honestly,
or so? No?
honestly, it's just nah.
I think so. There's been times where we thought when we were in LA living that we were going to be a little bit more industry, like we were going to do more auditions, go into. I had a commercial agent for a minute.
Yeah.
A big commercial agent that reps some really big people.
Okay. Shout out to not them.
You can say that. You can say that.
Shout out to not them.
I forgot the. I even forgot that was a while
But yeah,
ago.
no, we were signed with a big agency at one point with a really big, and this is like not even as a group. Me and my Fung Bros was signed to a really big thing. So we thought we had a TV show for a second on FYI. FYI, which converted into Viceland, but now is like back as FYI now, but like digital only.
Oh, I didn't know.
Because I don't even know the fragmented.
Love at First Sight was
channel
another show
packaging.
on there.
I don't know,
Amber
but like,
Rose had a show on there.
Yeah, but long story short, it's like, no, I still love the independent style. I love saying what I want to say, and I think I feel more convicted now in 2024 to say things that I was never gonna get a show to say. You know what I mean? Like anytime we've been asked to do a pilot, it's usually like essentially like a goofy food show.
Okay.
Sometimes they're a little bit more hardcore, substantial content. Sometimes it's a little bit more on the silly side, but it's always in that direction.
Right.
But what if you want to be a thought leader, and what if you want to say what you want to say about what's happening in the world and talk about the topics you want to talk
Especially
about?
more like free speech and stuff like that.
The last thing I want to do is feel constricted in the topics that I can
I'm
broach.
just trying to exercise my First Amendment.
Yeah. God bless America.
Because that's like the main thing about a lot of Asians, right? Like you could say that whether they're holding their tongue or they don't have anything to say to begin with, it's a combination, right? It's different. There's a variance depending on who we're talking about. That's the situation, right? Nobody ever says anything, and they might say it like on an anonymous Reddit or whatever IG account, but how many people are actually like you guys putting your name brand for the rest of your life on the line to say what you want to say, whether it's silly, trivial, or substantial?
Right.
What I like being in New York is, and having friends out here and being productive out here, is that it makes me feel better and that I'm a little bit free. Because when you're in LA, there is a pressure to be industry. Because if you're not somehow getting auditions and on your way to some larger network or system picking you up, you feel a little guilty. And that's what I didn't like that's one aspect I didn't like about being in LA. But now in New York,
I didn't get invited to the Unforgettable Gala.
Yeah.
And then once you get the Asian award, I didn't get invited to Golden Globes. I didn't get invited to this.
Like LA is kind of like when they say like, oh, my people will talk to your people. It really does feel like
a little bit
artificial
like that,
kind of.
And if you're not official in LA, then you feel bad. But I'm in New York and there's real things. I can get up on stage here. We run a comedy show. We got really good friends. Shout out to Ronnie Chang. He's a big comedian and we're friends with him and there's I'm friends with a lot of other comedians. So it's like now I'm like, oh, this is nice. I like this too. Like I don't need those systems.
Yeah, just to backtrack that, I think a lot of people, even if they've watched your content for a while, kind of forget the point where at some point you guys did have that show on FYI, right? It was like a travel show.
That was like in the first 3.5 years.
You guys traveled around like the US, you did like different things, but that is almost counter what YouTube is, because YouTube is free expression. You're allowed to do exactly what you do. You're allowed to mold it in the way that you see fit. Whether your opinions are dumb, stupid, whatever, you're putting yourself behind that opinion, right? But when you do like these larger network or like big network contracts and you those shows, you guys were binded, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's super scripted. I remember one time we were in Denver, and they're like, "Oh, say this White Chef's ramen is the best ramen you've ever had. This like smoked brisket ramen." And I told them, I said, "I'm not gonna say it. You're not gonna get me to say it."
Yeah.
And we had it was like a straight up with the field producer, a whole big ass, like it turned into like a huge argument.
Really?
All you guys are being non-compliant. You guys are being blah 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 blah. And it was just like, dude.
And ask, was it actually good though, or?
It's okay. It doesn't taste like ramen though.
It wasn't the best ramen.
Okay, that was the thing too. I was like, imagine you guys like, yo, this is actually pretty good.
He wanted you to say that line word for word, just so that for the sake of the show, it made it look like
it probably came from the top down. Let's be honest. I mean, if you guys know about how they book these shows, oftentimes there's even another agreement with a restaurant group behind the scenes. So you're going to like 7 spots and you're like, why is the soap all the same in all these 7 spots? It's actually all tied in with one restaurant group.
I mean, after filming a lot of food videos ourselves, I understand why people do that, because it's easier. Like sometimes you'll get paid to go for us to check out a restaurant, right? But
versus us got to pay them.
But
right?
essentially through their hospitality group, if they make it easy for them to come in and film, because sometimes they can't get the clearance to go get the mom and pop. Mom and pops don't even want a bunch of TV cameras know?
That's true.
But I'll tell you this, shout out to that show because I experienced things in that show that I don't know when else I would have.
Such
We're
as?
in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh,
We're in a kitchen
crap.
of a old dude who doesn't want us there because he didn't know the hosts were Asians and he didn't know a lot of the crew was black.
No, that would
The-
actually
the
been a
cameraman-
really
Crews are
interesting.
from New York.
The DP is Barbadian. He's from Barbados.
Regardless, yeah.
Everybody's from Brooklyn. Everybody's from Brooklyn.
Like they're black, right? And then the other DP's Korean, and then we're Chinese, we're
Right.
Asian, and then it's like he's just like, well, I didn't expect this, and then he's grumbling, and we're like trying to film and put on the spot.
And you're trying to ask him questions, be polite.
It got so I don't know what they told him, but he thought diners, drive-ins, and dives was gonna pop up.
Guy Fieri
and
was
then
gonna pop up.
he's looking like
Yeah.
Back to Wong Fu shows up, and then he's just like, I don't know what's going on. You know, he's tripping
Nah,
out.
it was
and-
like Vietnam.
Yeah, yeah.
this,
That's what I'm
this
saying.
guy
In a
also
restaurant,
on
yeah.
camera with the A&E cameras on him says the war of northern aggression. He literally calls it the war of northern aggression.
Damn.
Obviously it got put on the cutting room
Yeah,
floor.
of
but
course
I'm
they
just
gotta
saying,
take that out.
Still,
Yeah.
we're like in an interview. I was like, oh, what? We got the ADR that one.
I'm not like to dump on Charleston as an entire city,
no, that's
but
just
like
one
it's a
person
charming
went
place.
Just
there.
that experience,
But
yeah.
that obviously Charleston has a history. All right, we all know. So I'm like, that Charleston is never a place that I will go to on my own accord.
But,
And
but,
visit.
but long story short, just to wrap up this particular segment, it's like, yeah, a lot of people on YouTube, they don't know about that side of that show because, first of all, the network, the cable TV world and YouTube are already super different, but we weren't allowed to talk about promote the show on our channel. And once the show came out and the edits came out, we were so, in a way, like, I don't want to say ashamed, but not super proud of it to the point where we didn't hyper promote it either.
Oh.
Do you know what I
Even
mean?
though at that point you could have, but you didn't feel as proud of the work because it was so different than
Yeah.
what you had visualized when you were actually filming.
We
right?
could've
Yeah, and I
played it
remember how
better.
much like fighting
Yeah.
we were with
We could have
the.
played nicer and been more cooperative.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we gave up a career on food.
Right.
Do you think there was a part of it where, because this was like not in the last 5 years or so, where it's maybe a little bit easier for someone that looks like us to get like a show like that, but back when you had the show, like it would have been very unique. So you felt maybe subconsciously, and it's just a question that you needed to like do what they wanted as like a stepping stone to hopefully something bigger.
To a limited extent, yes, but we were fighting them the whole way through. You know, they sent just everything that about that show. You know, I mean, maybe did we need to do it exactly how we did it? That's just how I was feeling at that time, and essentially, I think I have a more refined version of my opinions about representing Asians in a mainstream world, in the Western world. But it's essentially driven by the same core. I might be more refined or polished in my approach. Back then, we're like going crazy, you know. But it's like,
Yeah.
But
I think you have to understand at that time our YouTube channel is popping too.
Mhm.
So our YouTube channel is going well, and then we take time off to do the show, but then the show structure is completely different from YouTube. So then that's why, again, if we got the opportunity again, I think we would play it a little differently. But like,
I
we'd still stand on
would
what we
have shown,
said.
instead of just going to Asian restaurants on my on YouTube in the South, I probably would have showed people the local food.
It'd be crazy if you guys actually went back to the same guy and he's like, yo, my bad. Yo, I'm so sorry. I was kind of a dick, you know?
I don't think so. I think he's pretty.
He's
And it was
animated.
crazy
I
because
think he was
he's not
there on
changing-
January 6th. That was probably.
I want to
Oh,
say
he was on the front.
yeah.
He was on the front line and shit.
Anyways, it's all good. It's everybody learns something.
Right,
from
exactly.
All
As
the
long
past.
as
and
hopefully
I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Made you a better
100%.
person, you know? Also,
Oh,
just want to say, like,
to
thank
travel
you.
America is awesome.
Yeah, just also thank you for inviting us for the Ronnie Chang thing. That was really cool, you know? I think he thought I was security at one point. I was
Oh, you
pretty
mean
sure.
for the last show?
Yeah,
Oh,
just want
yeah.
to say thank you for that.
Yeah,
I was pretty convinced.
Because
Yeah.
you're wearing all black and you're like 6'2" and you're standing like
I was pretty
pretty
shit
stiff
faced.
in the
funny.
middle.
And yeah, you guys are, can you help Ronnie's like, whatever you want. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do it. Sure. Ronnie, this way. All right, this way, sir.
Oh, David, that's you.
Yeah, I think
I
David
didn't know
asked me.
That's funny.
All right. How long has it been that you've been on YouTube? Is it 15 years?
No, it's 10.
It's been 10 years or so?
Yo, that's a
10,
lot, man.
it's
You're just like,
10.
it's just 10.
It's 10. I mean,
10 strong years.
it's
Yeah,
like
exactly,
it's different.
man.
Wong Fu, I think I'm gonna say Tim De La Ghetto, they're
Yep.
15.
Oh, wow.
We
Yeah.
came in 5 years later. We're probably still part of that first gen, but we caught the very, very, very tail end of that.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, just it's been cool to see how much, I guess it's changed a lot in a way that I didn't anticipate. But one thing I learned is that, like, as far as mainstream penetration, it's just gonna move however it moves. Like, no amount of YouTube buzz is really gonna change that. Like, You know what I mean? Like no amount of Asians right now that are going super viral asking people funny questions on an iPhone is really going to make them the next like hosts of America.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
So how many bodies do you got?
Yeah.
How many bodies? And then that's every question.
This is part of the reason why sometimes people complain that it's too easy to start making content because things are cheap now. Mics are cheap. We're holding 4 mics right now. It's probably like extra cheap, and you just need like your phone as a camera. We were talking about that before.
I want to say that every generation says this about the next generation, and I am saying it. I'm acknowledging that people said that about YouTube. A bunch of film directors were like, "What are these kids on YouTube making movies? Wong Fu. What do they think they know about film? Blah blah blah." Everybody says it, and then now I'm like, "Yo, man, it's too easy to make content."
no, you just have
We're becoming like the old like NBA players.
the little iPhone Bluetooth. You know, there's a real low quality. You can get it off. You know,
And
for
there's
25
no
or whatever.
like no nothing. Privacy is out the window,
Yeah.
guys.
Hell yeah.
Forget it. Oh, you don't want it up. Remember though, you can always make a claim if you don't want to be in a video. If someone posts you on TikTok, you can
Talk about that again. Like, it was harder to actually produce stuff strictly for YouTube.
yes. YouTube is higher
What
barriers.
social media is right now, especially TikTok, Reels on Instagram, maybe even Shorts on YouTube, whatnot. It's easier to produce, but at the same time, the virality of it is a lot more, right? So what I'm trying to say is like, I think the cream always rises to the top, but in the world that it is right now with TikTok, it rises faster because let's say a talented person back then maybe would have taken like lots of videos, lots of effort before they, popped and blew up, right? I think the cream still rises to the top, but it's so much faster.
And I think it dissipates faster too.
yes.
It rises faster, but it dissipates faster too. There's more views to go around, but like, I guess it's almost like this YouTube short, like there's so many people who have like a TikTok that hit like 42 million,
Right.
but a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, I saw that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean as much.
You don't connect with the creator.
That's why like people who were famous in the 90s, like they're going to be famous like forever because they were famous at a time where there wasn't that many famous people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just the amount.
Like different amount of avenues of becoming famous.
Dude, you'll remember like people from The Breakfast Club, that movie,
Yeah.
like Emilio Estevez and so.
Tom Cruise is still Tom Cruise is still a star. He's like
Still
60.
Yeah, he's still doing his own stunts and whatnot.
Jackie Chan will still have theater releases in America, and he's 60. Like,
Pre-cell phone people are like cemented in Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, that's a good point.
But like I think the way that it is right now, it does bring like some creators that maybe, let's say, they didn't have the effort to do the whole YouTube long format content kind of thing, but they're still able to do TikTok and still come to the top. Like what's her face? Bella Porch, right? Yeah, she went viral first on.
I mean, let's be honest. I'm gonna
But
be
she's
honest.
super talented.
Some people are gonna take this the wrong way. It's a right now. If you're a hot girl, you got every option. You're like Embiid on offense. You could do whatever you want. You want to take a long
She's a
range,
Lamar Jackson.
mid range, short range, whatever. You
if
got.
you're a hot girl, you're a Joel Embiid. That's what they would say.
You are the Joel Embiid of optionality in terms of monetization on online income.
Just for the
streams.
record, Bella Porch, she is a hot girl.
Yeah.
I just want
She's
to
definitely
clarify.
a
She's
hot
attractive.
girl.
She's attractive.
I'm saying that.
And she's talented.
I'm saying if you want to go clean, you can. If you want to go edgy, you can, or adult with OF and things like that, and everything in between.
Uh-huh.
You want to be on whatever podcast, just talking about like hot girls playing rich guys or whatever. You have that. You know what I mean? You got
Yeah, that's
every single option, like Embiid.
So it's too bad
Like
that you guys
Embiid.
aren't the Fung sisters or something, right?
Yeah.
That would like
I
made
don't-
things a lot easier right now. Thinking
You know,
about that.
it's funny because like we are two Asian guys, and shout out to everybody who's ever watched the video because they watched two Asian guys do something.
yes.
Two Asian guys, not one,
Without
and not
yeah,
two like model Asian
no
guys.
tattoos, no colored
Like,
hair,
we're-
no contact lenses.
I think we're decent looking, but not like we're not model tier, so we're not like
Never
K-pop looking.
never dressed up as
Something
never,
crazy,
Never dressed
like,
up
yeah.
crazy. Never dressed up.
Didn't put on a dress.
Listen,
Yeah,
we don't
honestly,
even
we didn't.
cuss.
I'm not even saying that that's the standard of anything, but it's true. We never
Think
put on
about
a
it.
dress.
We don't cuss, really, not really. No,
Also-
not on our stuff. Like
Yeah.
we
By the
might
way-
cuss on this
Oh,
podcast.
sorry,
New
guys.
Yorkers don't say cuss.
What?
That's
Oh.
weird. I've never heard a New Yorker say cuss.
Oh, what is it? Just
I just cursed or swear,
Oh,
right?
curse.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, but like, we don't swear. We don't talk crazy. We don't. We're still
Yeah.
going. We're still relevant. So I
Yeah.
think I do take pride in that.
That's good. That's good.
And we can always dirty it up. You can always go dirty if you
You
want.
can always dirty it up.
Yeah.
Easy
You can make
I
pass.
go
this
dirty
martini-
on stage more
oh,
in front of
yes.
people. Yeah.
let's talk about that because I think you guys have semi pivoted on your content a little bit. You were doing like a lot of skits, sketch comedy, things like that, like when you first started, right? Obviously the food was always there. That's always a banger, and you're still doing some of that right now. But for instance, Andrew, you're doing some stand-up comedy in real life, which is people think it's semi-adjacent to what you're doing, but stand-up comedy, it's its own creature. You can be good at everything else, but that is uniquely difficult.
Yeah, it is. To be very good at it, it is very time consuming. So I'm not going to like tell people that I'm trying to be like the next Ronnie Chang or anything like that. I don't even think I have the ability to be, but I think it's very gratifying. It's very fun. And it's something that we do have the muscles for.
It's something different about just being on stage, right?
There's something different,
being able to speak whatever's on your mind.
You can go more raw. People see your intentions better. When you say something on YouTube or TikTok and you let it out in the world, people will feel a million different ways about it. But when you're in a comedy club, you're basically told, hey guys, you are supposed to think this stuff is funny and they are supposed to be joking. So take what they say with a grain of salt always.
And I feel like a lot of the people in a stand-up crowd, I don't want to say like obviously everybody, they're more like extroverted nerds. Whereas if you really think about your average internet consumer that is on a Reddit, on a YouTube, they're almost like an introverted nerd.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? Because you still had to drag your ass to the club, park or take whatever form of transportation, to drink minimum.
Oh yeah,
and you had a ticket price.
I was going to say,
and you might sit in the front row, get picked out of the crowd by whatever.
Asianology is a one drink minimum.
Certain comedians, they like to roast the crowd more. They're going to be going at you, how you look, who your date is. That's a whole 99% of the YouTube watchers do not want to be front row at the Comedy Cellar.
No, you're outside.
Especially at the Cellar.
Yeah, at the Cellar. Yeah, you're right about that.
No, you're outside. Like you have to, because I think a lot of the time in comments, people will express their emotions through the comment section, but in real life, they have to express it out loud, and they're with other people.
The
also
crowd is right
expressing.
there.
Yeah, and you have a whole group of 100 other people that are trying to do it with you,
and you feel it right there. It's not like you just posted something. You could it's immediate.
Dude,
right there.
when you're by yourself and you're reading a comment, I can see how nerve-wracking it is because you see some type of controversy.
Yeah.
Then you look around, no one to talk to, no one to express anything with, and then you're just like, and it's just like, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, it's not terrible, but it's just natural.
But it's different. Like when you're on stage, it's like one of the few last ways of like really expressing yourself, like real ways of just true, expression.
Shakespearean.
Yeah,
it's
right.
the oldest theater. Yeah, it's just theater.
So when you go up there, and if a crowd does interact or heckle, you could make it back too.
You can play off the crowd.
And now you could do something completely different there too. Which is lost.
You guys did stand-up comedy way back then.
Yeah, way back, like 15 years ago.
We took like a long break, and then being in New York, it made it obviously very easy to
comedy
do it.
scene here is better than the West Coast. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it is. People, man, I've never seen anything like it. People in New York love stand-up comedy, and they love smart comics too. You can't just you could get laughs with a little bit more like base level lowest common denominator jokes, but it's like you could mix it in there, but if you don't have the raw substance behind what you're saying, people are going to be like, oh, this is just a silly guy who's not smart.
It's really cool that you guys are pretty like deep into that kind of scene. Like, like a lot of great comics.
Yeah, you guys have the show. You want to talk about the show that you have every month?
Oh, just plug. Just Asianology. We have one coming up end of every month. Fall of Fung Bros, January 30th, 7:30 p.m. at Sour Mouse is the next one. Really funny.
And just given Asian comedy, it's a little bit like a mix because there's like on the West Coast, they have this type of show like a lot.
Asian comedy, you mean?
Yeah, Asian comedy. In New York, there's less of it, right? Because but it's more common to see like maybe an Asian on a regular stand-up, like bill or whatever. So it's almost like just wanted to get everybody together. Some people do more Asian style comedy at the show. Other people are just like, yo, I'm that weird, awkward type of like cadence comedy, but I just happen to be Asian.
Right.
Like different people have different, styles. Some people are more like Joe Coy. Other people more like the other guy who don't want to talk.
But I love it because the comedy club, and this is the last thing I'll say, is like when you're on stage together and you're sharing the stage at the same show, it's almost like everybody's united, no matter what color, creed, identity, fringe identity, if you're this or that. It does, like, we're all comedians trying to make people laugh. Yeah. And that's why nothing is taken too seriously, even if I might have some comedians who are not super woke, and then I have very woke comedians on the same bill, but we're all Asian, and we're just like, we understand, hey guys, we're all being like pro-Asian here and make people laugh.
I noticed that in New York, like a woke comedian and an unwoke comedian are more willing, in my opinion, to be on the same billing.
Yeah.
But on the West Coast, it would be more like we all got
like vegan comedians.
Like they have woke Asian comedy shows, and then they have like, but I'm like, our show is just everything. Like I want it to be rush hour comedy. We cracking racial jokes
I like that.
with my black friend, and then we're cracking Asian guy jokes, Asian girl jokes, everything.
I mean, it's a sweeping generalization, but people are more okay with somebody who's with like an opposing viewpoint, right? You know what I mean? Like here, because everybody's so contentious here.
Yeah.
People are very contentious. You know how like they're always like yelling and honking, and you just got to deal with it. Like
Right.
the other day, I bumped into somebody super hard on the sidewalk, and nobody said anything. We just kept it moving. You know what I mean? It reminded me of living in China.
That's a New York thing.
You know what I mean? Like, because what are you gonna do? Like, turn it into a whole thing? Like
Yeah.
somewhere else in another place. I'm not even just saying whatever, like LA, but like another place, it's gonna turn into something.
No, there's this interesting undertone of like, hey, keep it moving. Like, you know, you help somebody on the subway or something, and you just say things.
Nobody
Keep
got to
moving.
exchange info. It's just
Nobody's
cool.
like,
I don't need to know your name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for holding the subway door for
Yeah.
me. It's like, no.
You ever saw that video? It's like a biker. He's just like fucking jetting it, and then he runs into like a business fat dude, right? They're both cursing at each other. They crash, but then you know they're like, "What the fuck? Like, yo, you're speeding, right?" And then the fat business guy's like, you know, he's like, he tells the biker, "You're speeding," and the biker's like, "You're jaywalking." He's like, "Ah, fuck it," and then they just walk away.
Right.
You know, I was like, "That's New York."
Yeah.
You know, and that's the beautiful thing. That's
Yeah.
hopefully we can still preserve.
So guys, if you have never been to a live comedy show, it is a very unique experience. You know, like it's not for everyone's taste, but you got to give it a shot because the vibes there, maybe it's part to do with the 2-drink minimum or something, but the vibes are definitely there. It is different. And it doesn't even matter if like the guy's doing well or if he's bombing. It's still always a good time. It's always a good time.
Dude, you got to get outside and get around other people, man. I like to think of it as kind of like an Asian I don't want to just say a community thing. I don't just do it for like the community aspect, but like, yes, come there and see other Asians, bring a date, whatever. You know?
I remember one of the first comedy shows I ever went to was Dangerfield.
How's that?
It was
Rodney
Rodney
Dangerfield?
Dangerfield. He had a club
Oh,
called
shoot.
Dangerfield.
That was a while ago.
A long time.
Because
long
he's
time.
been gone for a while.
Yeah, RIP. But I went and we were in the first row. But it's like very intimate. You know, even as an audience member,
Intimacy.
it's very, very intimate.
Yeah,
you know?
you could touch, you can like grab their leg if you want.
Yeah, technically. You know, like everyone can hear you, and it was
Yeah.
just like it's crazy. It's just your voice, because you know, like surrounding the room.
And it is definitely more of an intellectual, like humble thing though, because like my friends that are like super cool, you know what I mean? Like always trying to be like the coolest, like shades,
new
like
trendsetter.
tattoo, like AP, Rolex. That's not the comedy crowd.
Nah,
Like that's like popping bottles at, you know, like
like
whatever
Lavo,
club. Yeah,
marquee
yeah.
shit.
Dude,
yeah.
you want to listen to a bunch of different guys and girls talk, and you don't know if they're good or not. You know, you have to be into some comedy to
And
do that.
oftentimes comics were like at some point in their life or throughout their life outsided, because that's what makes them a good comic, is like that outcast identity.
different perspectives.
Yes.
So like, is the whole comedy thing a way for you guys not to get burned out? Because it's like a different channel, like a different branch. Because if you're just doing like the same content for a while or like similar content for a while and not actually getting out or doing like these projects, you know, like your hot sauce over here, Smatla, and the comedy show and everything, is it like a way for you to exercise different parts of your brain just so you don't burn out from the same YouTube content?
It's an interesting way to look at it.
I would say it's just like, man, we got a lot of muscles from our upbringing that we don't always get a flex on YouTube, because YouTube wants a certain thing, the algorithm wants a certain thing. So if you have muscles that you never get a flex, they atrophy, right? But you spent your whole life building up those particular muscles. Is good to use them. Like imagine if you were a volleyball player, you love jumping, right? But all of a sudden you discover you're super good at tennis. In tennis, you don't really jump that often, right?
No.
It's a lot of lateral stuff. Wouldn't you be like, I miss jumping? You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna lose my ability to. I used to be the highest jumper on the
My
volleyball
vert
team.
was crazy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you just looking for those avenues to still utilize like how you were built.
And also, it's to utilize what we've built in our platform. You know,
Yeah.
like Smala, obviously it all runs together. Like I have a way to promote Smala. I have a way to promote Asianology. It's like we can activate people. And you have to understand you have to look at what we've built. Like we have to look at what we built as like, it's what we built, but also a gift and a tool that we should continue to use. And we use for good, and we use for projects that we think are interesting and beneficial to people. So it's like, yeah, like I've promoted tons of brands on YouTube before. Why not promote our
Your own
comedy?
brand. Yeah, exactly. Because I think like when you're doing something new, that's exciting, right? That's always
Yeah.
exciting to try something new, whether or not you're actually going to succeed in it or like do well or bomb or whatever.
Not every comedian can bring out 70
Yeah.
people a night.
exactly.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm thankful for that. You know, I'm cool. Yeah.
How was the hot sauce experience? Because I guess that's food adjacent because you guys do food commentary, but like, how was it to produce a physical, like tangible product? Because you guys don't do like a lot of merch.
No, we don't, and probably should have looking back on it. But you know, I think this is just a product that talks a lot about what we talk about on the channel. You know, mixing things up, knowing like the past and the history and the heritage, but still taking it to a new place. Because that's what we talk a lot about being Asian. We always tell people it's like to be what I believe is going to be the most optimal like Asian identity in the West.
Yep.
You actually have to know everything about being Asian, know everything about being Western to like come up with it. I think a lot of people are feeling their way through the dark. And it's like, if I was to just make it all metaphorical or whatever, but to Smala, it's like, that's, you know, half Italian, half Chinese.
It's something also, it's like your love song, like you grew up on it and you want to make an interpretation of it, you know?
Yeah. And it's something that people can use and make their life better. You know, I mean, we could sell t-shirts, and I got a lot of friends that make great money off t-shirts, but if I don't have a good t-shirt design, I don't want to try to sell you something that you don't need.
Yeah.
You don't need another t-shirt. Probably. You don't.
You don't get it.
The world doesn't need another
Shout out to
t-shirt.
Richie Lee Collection. This is an amazing t-shirt.
No, that's a dope t-shirt.
I'm
though.
wearing
we're
all
talking
his
about,
brand.
We're talking about some.
This is the same brand from my friend Richie Lee, but Smala is something that you can carry with you, and you're like, you feel it, you taste it, and I think that's an interesting experience.
Because it's kind of like a mala buzz for people who don't want the one that's like super
And
authentic.
it's fun. You see me, I could pour it on pizza. I'm like, hey, you want some? You want some? You want some? What can you do?
It's good on mac and cheese.
Like
I
if
said.
you take the actual,
Pull it out of a jar and then
it's almost like if you actually put the full on Chinese chili oil, which I love, on pizza, it doesn't fully taste right because it's not Western
because
enough.
the flakes kind of like throw it off a little
Yeah,
bit.
and you can obviously put Calabrian chili oil from Calabria on the pizza too, but this is adding a whole nother Eastern element in there too.
What was the hardest part about doing the whole hot sauce thing?
well, just keeping it going. Like we didn't make it yet. You know, we just sold our first batch. We're almost sold out of it. So please get yours. Dragon 15 if you want 15%
yeah,
off.
Dragon
But
15 you want 50%
Plug away, dude.
it's almost like what now? Like we got to keep going. Like just because you did one good round, you
Yeah.
gotta keep
I
selling.
think expanding it, you know, there's all this like background stuff that you actually really don't know about until you get into like food manufacturing. There's
Cost of goods
all this
sold.
It's
levels.
tough, right? I assume, yeah.
There's people who got to eat off it. There's a manufacturing, there's delivery, shipment, all this stuff. There is cost. Like I'm not gonna say we made
Margins are slim. Margins are always slim.
Well, you try to make the margins better, right? That's the whole point. And then
Over time.
distributors want it. Your margin, they gotta take their cut. So all this other stuff. So
Yeah.
now it's got more complicated. Then now it's not just merch. Now I'm trying to get other people to buy it so that they can sell it. To
Yeah,
other
it brought
people.
us into a whole new ecosystem. It's like you're talking to supermarkets, food distributors, chefs, food press.
Supermarkets.
It's like a lot of stuff that you weren't really interfacing with prior to.
Hey Ben, you got to plug at H Mart. I'm trying to get into H Mart.
Yeah.
Just because you happen to be Korean.
I have 3. So hold on. Guys, check out right now. Use promo code. What was it again?
Dragon 15, yeah.
Dragon 15. There it goes. Hey,
But the
Mom.
good thing is, like, you've done so much food content that you know a lot of people like that are in that area, right? So it's a little bit easier to
It's
like
fun.
get people to try it out.
And it's a space, honestly, there's a lot of Asians in it. A
There
lot
is.
of Asians own small CPG brands that they want to grow to be medium-sized brands to big brands. Like there's a ton of Asians in the food ecosystem, whether we're talking about purveyors of brick and mortar restaurants or
Right.
on the packaging side, like
Yes.
second generation owners that want to modernize their parents, like Morfabi brand from overseas. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there's
No.
every level. You can't believe how many Asians are involved in it.
Yeah, it's a good community, man. I met a lot of nice people that are very helpful, and everybody's cool in the consumer packaged goods. That's what CPG stands for.
Yep.
And so it's like in this kind of food, because Asian food is good and Asian sauces are good.
This our friend Tree from Austin. He got Fierce Whiskers. He opened his own distillery. He's making his own bourbon, different types of
I
bourbons.
was going to say, he made both of these right here.
both of them.
Palm choy and then
And this
Fierce
is a
Whiskers.
premium small batch pot stilled. I don't even know what that means.
If you want to try it afterwards, we can. I know you.
We'll be taking that 2 bottles home. Don't worry.
So, yo, guys, turn around that way real quick.
I didn't know you guys were taking them.
It's a nice looking bottle.
Where can they get Smala hot sauce again?
Smalasauce.com.
There you go,
please.
guys. I'll put a link down below for that. Okay.
Yeah.
And you got the comedy show that's going on every single month or so. Great show, by
Kind
the
of
way.
got a lot of like little, like I don't want to say little stuff, but stuff going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys are busy, man. You guys are always busy.
Making the
Staying
product,
busy.
having a comedy show may seem little, I guess relative to like what else you have going on, but each individual thing takes a lot of goddamn work.
Yeah,
to
I got a lot
happen.
of stuff I need to promote, guys.
Yeah, you do.
I think I'm proud of it.
We just don't say shit.
That's the whole
It's
show.
Right, you gotta take it away. Sorry, number one. We got.
But you guys know, I mean, just like your guys' own podcast, it's self-driven. Nobody asked you guys to make the podcast, right? Like, I don't know if you guys had 100 people around you shaking your shoulders every day.
Oh hell no!
Oh hell fucking no!
No, they probably were like, and maybe even initially, sometimes your friends even try to downplay it, like, oh,
They were
you
trying
guys,
to make us to stop.
you guys must have a lot of time on your hands. I didn't ask for this. And you go,
I was gonna knit.
in a way, and this sounds great, it's like, you're a grown-ass person who had a vision for what you wanted to put out in the world that didn't exist, so you went and did it. You know what I mean? It's not about what other people ask for or what they, to be honest. I mean, like, you could, a lot of times the audience doesn't know that they even want something until it's created.
Hey, I'll tell you this. Shout out to you guys. I do think starting a podcast is not hard. Keeping it going and growing it, tough.
That's a lot to
Extra
it.
tough.
And you guys
Extra
are doing
tough.
it.
Extra
No, but
tough.
you guys are doing it.
Because nobody's doing it out of like, there's these ultra Asian enclave zones, right? Probably the 3 most noteworthy in America. Let's just say 2 realistically for first gen, like super linked to the motherland. One is San Gabriel Valley. The other one is Queens.
Yeah.
Those are your 2 like super, super Asian zones, right? And it's different types of Asians.
Right.
Yes, they're more, I guess, predominantly Chinese, but also most Asians in the world are predominantly Chinese. Yeah.
Statistically, yeah.
Like, so it's like,
It's fact of life.
but it's like,
The fact of life.
Ben's like, I've had to accept it for 3 decades, so
Yeah, I gotta take it. Yeah.
so it's like, it's just, nobody is producing a podcast about those areas like you guys, though, analyzing some minutia that it's almost like you wouldn't know unless you are in one of these super area Asian zones,
I
right?
appreciate that you like to put such a nice spin on our bullshit every week.
I was gonna say a lot of it. I owe it to this guy actually.
It's a
The
lot of
Chinese
genuine
guy.
bullshit because
You know, just by the way,
putting
Chinese guy doing all the work.
I didn't say it like that.
yo,
The
that's
Korean
true.
guy comes in and adds the flash. Though.
That's true. I'm
Add
not
the
saying it
flash.
like that.
Eye
No,
candy.
you need
Ben is
both.
just
You
eye
need the
candy.
duo. You need the bud.
I can't do it without this guy. Like he literally does everything. He's like the brainiac of the shit.
All right, get off my dick. Let's move on with this thing, okay? So future. You've been doing it for 10 plus years. You got a lot going on right now. You're doing a lot of the same stuff. You're doing like a little bit of different stuff because I saw you been like steering away from food a little bit, right? Doing some more social commentary right now. Like, what's going on with you guys in the medium and the future? Like, where do you see you guys going?
We still do a lot of speaking engagements at colleges and corporate gigs, different, even
The
sometimes
book.
online.
I
Yeah,
think
I got a book
We're working.
Oh,
that I've
nice.
been working on that's full of like super hot takes, like even like hotter takes than I
I
would
think
be
it's
willing
super
to.
hot chicks. I was like, holy shit. Sign me up for 5, bro.
Ben's like, oh, hot takes about
I'll take
Asian
5.
shit. No, count me out.
Take my money.
ABG calendar.
ABG.
That's not a bad idea.
Actually,
That's
a
actually a
book,
pretty good idea.
a
dude.
book on how to date ABGs effectively would actually sell.
it
Sadly
would sell
enough.
very well. It would
Sadly
sell very
enough.
well.
Get buff, get tats, and do wild, edgy things. That usually is a pretty good
Oh shit.
stack. I would say,
Future. Talking about your future.
but it's like, we just want to do more, and we're still interfacing with the mainstream, still doing stuff like that. Still want to grow YouTube. Dude, we got so much stuff that we haven't like even fully even delved into, and like so many ideas. I mean, we were doing even short films for a little bit, working with a lot of filmmakers. That's when I started learning about all these like focal lengths and all this like lighting stuff.
Camera
That's more
technical
from
stuff,
like
yeah.
movie stuff. But like, that's like pretty hard, I realized. So I'm like, just dabbled in a few things, but I'm pretty excited.
You know, I have to be honest, I don't know how all these brands converge. I know that they're all under umbrellas of like Fung Bros.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is interesting. And I guess like, I can't tell you exactly where everything is in like 4 years.
Yeah.
But I just know that steadily working at these things, it's gonna turn into something. And
Yeah.
it's just it all does align and falls under a similar, like, I don't want to say like maker, like we're the, like, it's all us.
Yeah.
But
We want to do some brick and mortar stuff too.
yeah, that would
Oh,
be
shit.
cool.
In
but-
New York too.
I mean, that's a lot of stuff going on, so we'll see. But I mean, obviously, YouTube is still like the passion is still the crux of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? I mean, Small Up blows up, maybe it becomes a bigger thing, and then we got to hire a team for that. Right now, it's
Yeah.
just us. So
So if like OnlyFans like approach you guys, like Snoop Dogg, you're like,
OF.
no?
Let's take a look at
Yeah,
the deal,
yeah,
man. Let's
show me the-
just take a look at the deal.
Show me the
What is it
contract. Show me
for-
the
me or
contract.
David or both of us, Fung Bros, that would be weird. I don't know what content they'd want, but anyways,
I've got a bunch of questions from our viewers, and I'll try to get them from the back of my head. So a lot of people want to know, like, what's it like to work with your brother? What's it like to work with your sibling? So close and for so goddamn long.
Good question.
Because from personal experience, Ben and I have been friends for as long as like some siblings have been siblings for. So I kind of like feel what you guys are feeling. But at the very least, I don't have to go home to him every single night, right? Like, how has this
That's a funny word, but yeah.
relationship been?
No, I mean, it is a relationship. It's a family. Yeah.
It's both family, it's friends, and it's a business relationship too.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first on this?
Man, I mean, honestly, I would just say you got to just work through it. I mean, you got to like just keep the mission first. I always say, like, you know, I have people in my extended family that are brothers that don't get along, like cousins who are actual full brothers who don't even like each other. They don't even want to be in the room with each other for more than like an hour. And it's like, man, it's just something. I just know that nothing that crazy happens for it to be that serious. You know what I mean? Because you just got to feel the mission of what you're trying to accomplish together so deeply. It's almost like, I'm sure it's like being in the military together. Not everybody in the same platoon or whatever. They don't all like each other. But if you're in a war, you better set aside whatever these differences are and just get it done. Like,
just look at Andrew's face, his reaction.
I think in any long-term partnership, whether you're business partners for a long time or you're in any type of relationship or family, right, business, I think that there just has to be respect and communication. Just like any that's for literally any, you guys need respect and communication.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you guys just being friends. And then
Yeah, that's true.
so you have to be able to have respect and communication with each other to keep it going. And yeah, keeping the same mission in mind. Obviously we're family. We spend a lot of time together. We even play ball together, but I do think you need your space. I think you need your space and you need boundaries. And as you mature, you know, you just have those conversations and that's all it is. So
do you guys want to take trips away from each other, like actual vacations separate of each other? Like, is that something that you need to do every once in a while?
If there's a good reason. I mean, if there's a reason to work together, if there's work and we're getting, like, for example, paid, then we're traveling together.
no, like sometimes for speaking gigs, we go out individually. Like just
really?
one person, yeah.
Oh,
because obviously there's a lot of stuff that you got to keep running, and it is difficult to run that on the road.
I have done some shows without David and vice versa. But I think being able to operate without each other, at least temporarily, is key.
Oh, absolutely.
Super key.
Yeah.
Because you cannot just keep it. When
Always be
you're young, you
together.
don't care because, like, we were in a house in LA at like 626 together, and we had like friends packing it out, and our production guys were there, and it was also like college. So that's why for like 5 years you didn't think about this long-term stuff at all. You were just going. It was fun, work, build. And then you're like, yeah, things, you slow down a little bit, and then you're kind of like, all right, well, we need to, like, we're getting older now. So
it's good that you guys are on the same page, because I think, like, that's what it takes to have something like this be sustainable long term. Because if one guy was too heavily reliant on the other, or whatever, I think it really wouldn't work out. Because eventually things will get to the point where there's some bad will that's built up if one person's carrying like a little bit too much of the weight. But the fact that you guys have that same vision and you're doing the same amount of work and you understand all parts of it together and like separately, I think that makes it a lot, like, there'll be less bumps in the road. Obviously, you're gonna have like
always everything is bumpy, like, but yeah, I mean, like, you just try to, you just gotta attack forward. I mean, it's just like any successful business, man. You just seen people, they just gotta work through it. Or probably marriages are like the same way too, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not gonna be
Good
you have to learn first 6 months for the next 6 years to the next 60 years. It's always up and down.
yeah, you gotta learn, continue to grow.
all right,
Sounds all very cliche, man, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen so many people like in this Asian game. I mean, any game, right? But like specifically for Asians, it's like I've seen so many people come and go. You know what I mean? In this space, and like you gotta think there's like a checklist of things that a duo or whatever squad or organization or a brand needs to constantly check off, and that list is probably checked like every day. And sometimes people got it all, but sometimes it goes away. That's why you've seen people be in the space and come in and come out, but there's only a few people where it's like they're hitting enough of the check marks all the time.
I guess the other plus side is like having two people as opposed to one person. That's the main operator of the thing. You kind of like can support each other, right? Because there has to be times when one person is down and the other person maybe is more active and will like step up in lieu of the other person. Like, that is the plus side of having multiple people. When you're by yourself, let's say you're in like a bad month or a bad week or so, you still got to do what you got to do, but you can't do it as well. You guys can at least, like, hopefully, I assume, like, carry the weight when the other one's like off game or something.
You know what I notice about the solo creators is they like, sometimes they're like super successful, but when you meet them in person, they're sometimes kind of weird.
Yo, most creators, your idols, like the thing that say never meet the people that you.
Never meet your idols.
Yeah, never meet your heroes.
It's kind of like that because they're never like that way on camera, which kind of leads to some other questions that we got, like off camera, on camera. Obviously, we've seen you off camera and everything. Do you guys feel like, and I kind of feel this way sometimes too, but like not to such a crazy extent, like there is kind of like a persona that you put on when the cameras go on, right? Maybe it's not a different persona. Maybe it's you, but to the 100% nonstop, right? Maybe you are like that, but in real life, you're not like that all the time. Do you guys kind of like feel like that? Like when the cameras roll, things change a little bit?
I don't feel like there's that big of a gap, to be honest. I mean, I know what you're saying. Like some people, there's a bigger gap than others.
Yeah.
Okay, if you were to watch our videos from 8 years ago and talk to us today, of course there would be a gap because our content right now is more similar to us in person.
Yeah.
So right now the gap is not big, but I know that people in the past, and I think it's more so an issue with their expectations, where certain videos we used to deliver like very like different types of Asian girls, and we don't talk like that in person,
right?
Because that's just like that's
like super
that's ridiculous. And then people like literally, I'd have like people be like, "You guys talk differently." I'm like, "Why the f would I talk like that
in real life?"
Like I'm on speed in that video, but now I'm like not on drugs. I'm okay. Like you know what I mean?
So yo, I'm just relaxed.
Yeah,
me just chill.
I'm chill.
To me, I know it's different. Like other people that I feel like they're more Americanized, they more go off the energy and the feeling that you have. But for me, I think my brain still works a little bit more Asian, where I'm always focused on what I said.
The content as opposed to the
content,
context.
the facts, the observations, the insights, the news that I covered, the hot takes I gave, more than the energy. But I noticed that the more westernized you are, and you could be Asian that's like became more westernized in your thought process or your analysis, you more go off the feeling and the delivery.
I mean, David like he yells on the podcast.
I know.
On the Hot Pot Boys, he's not talking like this.
No, that's true.
It was like come on, like we're like
right.
in.
I'm like you're like right at my ear or like my ear.
You're
yeah,
slightly
you
more
earplugs,
laid back in real life.
Yeah, I can hear David.
So
yeah.
So that already, I mean, we could tell you that's the difference right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Next big question that people want to know: how good is your Chinese? Now,
we're separate people on this.
Okay, separate people. You sprinkle in some Chinese here and there.
Who sprinkles in the Chinese?
Both
Actually,
both of you sprinkle in some Chinese. Okay. To me, knowing the language,
you're a Mandarin speaker, right?
I'm Winslow, but I speak a little bit of Mandarin because I'm learning that. My wife speaks Cantonese, so
you've heard it all.
I've heard it all, so I can understand like what's good or bad. Even though I cannot personally speak it, I can understand what's good or bad.
Wanzhou is considered a very hard dialect.
It's a very hard dialect.
It's the devil's language.
Well, thank you.
you got to speak some after we give our answer. Can you speak some Wanzhou?
Oh, okay, sure, fair enough. So, how good is your Chinese? Who wants to go first? And like, what is the history on why it's good, bad, or mid tier?
Well, I think you got to start with David, and then it goes to
on
me.
an ABC level.
On the ABC level,
for American-born Chinese.
ABC, man. Honestly, I gotta be
because you can do both.
That's super Americanized. That can like do all these Americanized things.
Yo, David, that's a lot of disclaimers before you give your answer.
Because I was gonna give myself a high number. I was gonna give myself a 7. I was gonna give myself a 7 out of 10. That's why I needed to say all that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I'm not like somebody who like sits and watches C-dramas all day, like and watches dubbed over animes, and like I'm just not like that. You know what I mean? Like I know.
Yeah. So David can walk into Cantonese and Mandarin spots and have a conversation with pretty much anybody there.
Oh,
good.
Maybe not about like politics, but
like grade school
I
conversation.
can't host the TV show of like
no.
But to get stuff
news
done
is hard to watch. Yeah.
That's because you've lived in China for a little bit, right?
Yeah. So it's like conversational stuff, just getting around. So that's why I said at ABC level, because to me, ABCs are so not good at
So it went from this to ABC level. Now we're in this.
on an actual Chinese person scale, I'm probably like a 2.75 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very specific.
If David's 2.75 on a Chinese scale, I'm like negative, dude.
Well, you're the younger brother. I feel like, as it always goes with siblings, the parents put the most effort like at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And like towards the end, they put less and less effort.
So I didn't put in the work that David did. So I gotta say, I just didn't. I didn't pick it up as much. I don't know if naturally I'm as great as soaking it up, but it's true that our parents spoke English to me. David and my sister still grew up speaking some Cantonese when they were kids.
Right.
That was their language that they communicated in at a young age.
Okay.
But so I don't even have that in my bones. But that's not fully the full excuse is I didn't study it enough.
Yeah.
But now my Mandarin is better than my Cantonese.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But your parents speak
But trust
Cantonese,
me,
right?
I'm not.
No,
I'm
they're
shitty
half.
at both.
They're half. Our parents, our dad is Cantonese, or our dad's from Hong Kong. He's half Shanghainese. Our mom's from.
But they
Northern
speak
China.
both. They speak 3. They speak 2 dialects and then English.
Fluently?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're
Fluent.
both fluent in each other's languages.
But my dad's Mandarin accent is kind of weird because he's Cantonese, but he can say everything.
Yeah.
And my mom's Cantonese accent, because she's naturally Mandarin,
Is weird the other way.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
But they can communicate.
Oh, okay. So
For
the
sure.
accent's not there, but the language and the context and the words and the vocab,
Everything.
it's all
They're-
there.
and they
like
both
high
can
level.
understand Shanghainese.
And they can
with them.
understand like
Wow.
news
Damn,
and
that's good.
that's super level, high
And
level.
you guys just destroyed all that by not learning enough,
well,
right?
I think they chose, I don't know, like they thought I had a speech
You know
impediment when
what's
I was young,
weird?
but-
Here's the weird thing: the kids who feel the most Americanized and can ping with like other races really well, typically they're much worse at their parents' language than the
Yes.
kids. You know what I mean? Like the
yeah.
super Americanized crowd, unless they're super rich, like an Eileen Gu or something like that, they're generally, it's like you either pick the Americanized pathway where you're like, I'm working at the marketing department and I'm like firing off jokes, or you're like, oh, I'm with my people in an ethnic enclave and I can talk with all the uncles, but I'm not good at talking to white or black people.
Right.
I'm not saying that's 100 out of 100 people, but it seems like that dichotomy and that hard choice exists, right? From what you guys have seen.
100%. I would say like even me, my English is very good because I grew up with friends that were like, some of them were Chinese, obviously, but none of us were Chinese kids speaking Chinese, or we're Chinese kids speaking English. So like that's just where I gravitated towards. And I didn't have siblings to speak that with me. My parents were working like 18 hours a day, so they didn't have time to speak with me. So just like by sheer environment and where I was, just like naturally English was what I picked up.
You know, it's just like playing sports. Like if you're super good at football, you're probably not going to be super good at soccer and super good at basketball.
Yeah.
It's not that there's nobody who isn't good at all three, but it's rare because just the distribution of time and who you were spending time with is different. Like you can't be good at everything in the world, you know what I mean? And be a number one good at playing instruments or whatever, you know.
Do your parents like give you a hard time still about it? Like, with, speaking it? Or they kind of like, we give it
No,
up?
I don't think they gave up. I mean, if I tell them like, hey, mom, speak more Chinese, and then we'll speak Chinese and try to like work
Practice,
on.
right?
But my mom's so funny. She's like, Andrew, I don't care what type of girl you marry, but I'd like her to speak Chinese. I'm like, Mom, I don't even speak Chinese. What do you got? How you? She's like, I will try to teach her some. You didn't teach me some. What are you talking about?
She just wants that grandkid. That's what she really wants. Laying the foundation for the grandkid.
I think parents are weird with that, because it's like language, it is a link to the cultural heritage.
It is.
Oh,
it is.
definitely,
No
yeah.
doubt.
It is, but
Definitely.
it's not the only link, but it is and it isn't. So what if you're a really good cook of like your grandmother's dishes
Right.
to the point where you're so good, you reinterpret it with American techniques and you still understand the root of it, but you are just bad at having a conversation. But then you could, all right, let's say for example, you're good at talking to the grandparents, right? But you don't know anything. You don't support the culture. You don't support the community.
Yeah.
I've seen both of those happen.
That's true. That's true.
I think I do a good job of making up for it.
Yeah.
Because I know
How
a
so?
lot of kids who are more whitewashed or less, who don't do nothing for the culture that
Okay.
can speak it better than me. For
Fair
sure.
enough, fair enough.
Tons of people.
Yeah.
Yo-
Which I'm not dumb. Like everybody has their like again, language is part of culture.
Yeah,
but if you're not
absolutely.
using the language for the culture, then what's the point?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
You're just doing it for yourself.
I'm trying to we push
It's
pushing
crazy.
the culture forward in my opinion.
Like I was telling you before, like in K-Town, like there's like black girls, white girls, Spanish girls that speak way better Korean than me.
Yes.
I'm like, and then they talk to me in it. I'm like, look, I'm not gonna front. My Korean's just garbage. You don't have to do that. It's okay. I believe you. I think what you're saying sounds Korean.
It sounds
So you
vaguely Korean.
pass, Yeah, I'll
But
give
you understand what they're saying, right?
Yeah,
I'm not
I
gonna
can
lie, I'm
understand it.
oddly attracted to you right
Yeah,
now
I am.
since you started speaking
I'm
Korean,
like,
but
can you cook? And then it's like
Wow.
we'll see from there. But yeah,
Do you get with those chicks? Because there's a
who's
lot of
asking the questions here?
there's a lot of non-Asian women that are like fetishizing Korean dudes in
Yes,
2024.
and I totally.
I can't say
Have
that
you
Chinese
dated
guys
some
got
of
the
them?
same thing.
Yeah,
So
yes,
You've dated
yes,
some.
sir.
As a
Yes,
married
sir.
person, can I give my opinion on this? Like, if they took the
no,
effort,
Ling.
hold on, dude. If they took the effort to learn a language in order to like go up to someone like Ben, I was like, yo, give her props for that. Right?
Yeah, I wish I.
She's
Yeah,
fetishizing, maybe, but she put in mad effort to learn a fucking language or enough of a language to approach Ben. So
I could see you, especially because you got the physicality for the non-Asian girls, because it's almost like
yeah.
they're BTS mixed with
Ooh.
Chris Pratt, mixed with
Yeah.
a bigger dude, like a bearish, like a bear.
Yeah, I
Dave
like this.
Bautista, Chris Pratt, So you got the
BTS.
Guardians.
from K-Town.
Guardians of K-Town.
Like you totally could pull like be the evil Chebo boss's bodyguard.
I do. I want to be
Like in a K drama.
I'm gonna be in like John Wick 5. I'm gonna be like Asian henchman number 5.
You're the guy from Tokyo Drift.
And your main move is just
a power slam.
cracking people's back and just snapping their spine, just going. Oh,
And I just throw people.
Yeah, to
right?
be
Like, thank
stereotypical,
you.
I could see some Latino girls who know Korean, like
Oh yeah,
'Cause
and they throw like Poppy at us. Oh shit.
Oppa, papi,
Oh
papi,
shit.
oppa.
Hajima. Oh Hajima. Oh male.
And you know, hey,
male.
they love the Korean corn dogs too.
Hey yo.
We're talking about the
Is that a
food, right?
cold word?
I mean, like,
is that a cold
actually,
word?
I'm talking about the actual
food. I'm sorry.
two hands.
Sorry, I apologize. Just two hands.
And they use two hands on the ground.
the jungle dogs.
Let's talk about real food. Let's talk about real food. Let me pivot this conversation towards real food, okay?
Is it a corn dog or tteokbokki? Which one is it, Ben? Is it corn dog or tteokbokki?
Oh man. I plead the
Stay silent.
Well, yes.
Food. Let's talk about food.
Actual food.
You guys, real food
Yes,
this
yes.
time. You guys do a lot of food content. I'm always curious with people like you. How much do you actually cook? Because I know just from sheer necessity, you guys have to go out and eat a lot, right? That's just part of the game. You know, creating content, whatever. Like, do you guys cook? Do you like to cook?
I think I can cook moderately well, considering I have a passion for cooking. I think I can do it. I'm capable. Right now, I'm mostly working the air fryer, but I'm mastering the air fryer.
You're
let's be
like
honest.
a Michelin rated air fryer. Right?
I'm the Gordon Ramsay of the air fryer.
It's like you're like yelling corner behind.
I would consider myself
Yes,
one of
chef.
those meme people on like Reddit or whatever, Instagram, that are like super pro air fryer.
I am.
You two with the air fryer?
Well, we share it.
I know you share an air fryer,
but I can hit the pan too. Don't get it twisted. I know how
Yeah,
to.
chef?
I can toss with one hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, funny. You've been in so many kitchens. You think you would just by like osmosis pick up like a lot of techniques?
Oh,
and
I think it
everything,
is.
right?
That's how you make fried rice.
I mean, just by being
Yeah,
around.
just do it blindfolded, and all of a sudden there's fried rice in front of you. Yeah.
Let's just say 7 days a week. You skip breakfast because you're fasting. That's 2 meals a day. That's 14 meals a week, right? Of those 14 meals, how many are you cooking for yourself in that air fryer? That's a real question. Take a second.
Out of 14,
At 14.
Like 15.
7.
For real? Oh, shit.
Well, if we're both here and we both cook, it's kind of like for both people. So
Oh,
we just make a
actually,
little extra and just
A
split
lot
it.
of a lot of it is like when you go out to eat, it's not gonna be healthy. Long story
course
short,
not.
because the goal of the place is just to really either sell drinks or to stimulate your dopamine. And there's certain things, sugars, fats,
a lot of
salts,
hidden
salt.
sugar.
that
lot of hidden
refined carbs that stimulate dopamine.
Yeah.
Like literally, bread hits your dopamine receptors, but for guys, it also stimulates estrogen production. So it's like that's why guys got to stay lean.
Guys, stay off the bread.
No,
Stay
you
off
got to
the
stay
bread.
green, lean, and clean. Honestly, it sounds like such a cliche, but literally, if you just say green, lean, and clean, all that other stuff, you know, how people are like trying to fast and do keto and light keto, lazy
We're
keto.
talking about that.
If you just keep it lean, green, and clean,
Simple.
literally rhyme those 3 words, you don't have. If you do that, you don't have to do anything else for the rest of your life. If you can
Nothing.
literally follow that.
Yeah, I'll tell you this about delicious food, man. I think, and we're privileged in the sense that we seeked out a lot of different restaurants and ate at restaurants as part of our.
Yeah.
So I understand that we are not the average person. We have more time to spend on food than the average person, you know, because we were able to make it work for us. But after having a lot of delicious food and eating at all these different restaurants, and some meals we got comped that were really nice, a lot of fusion stuff, a lot of cool stuff, I'm like, I go back to the basics.
What's your basics then?
Pho.
Oh yeah.
Pho Grand on Grand Street is the most frequented restaurant that I've paid for in my entire life. It's not a Chinese restaurant.
Nope.
Although it is, I mean, that's Chinese
It's
dishes. It's
yeah.
Chinese via, like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But pho is like, I could eat that all
Staple,
day.
yeah.
And it's just like,
That's true.
and it's just, I had all this food.
Pho is probably like a top 10 dish in world history.
Yeah.
I really think
It's
so.
a
You
comfort
think it's
food.
top 10 of like the goats
In
and stuff?
world history,
You might be
man.
hungry 2 hours later, but until that, you're like,
Especially
I
now
love
where
that.
they're taking pho with the big shank rib and all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's going crazy. Yeah.
That's true. You get like a whole lobster in there now and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I really think pho is like something because it's actually like it has some a little bit of French influence as well.
But yeah, anyways, guys, check out Smala sauce. It goes well on everything.
I was just gonna say, pho will
Yeah.
go really great with that.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
let's
does.
wrap this up with a couple of small things. Like besides pho, is there any like big things or dishes, meals, whatever cuisines that like stand out to you that you would always want to get? Maybe not as frequently as pho, but like that's your go-to meal.
David has this one dish that like is so hard to find.
Oh,
What?
Yeah. No, it's called Mandarin. It's called yellow braised chicken. It's called Huangmen Fan, and that's like it's very similar to
Chinese chicken.
Jim Doc. You know what I'm talking
Doc
about?
Jim?
What language are you speaking right now?
Doc Jim Doc. I heard it called both ways. Yeah, it's like that soy braised
Yeah.
chicken dish but it's like it's got a soy flavor as well to it, and it's
Which region is it from?
it's from Shandong.
Okay.
That's why, and it's just so good, and it's considered the #1 construction worker meal in China. It made
Oh,
It's a
really?
very
That's
blue
funny.
collar meal.
Okay, there you go.
But blue collar
like-
meals
specifically in northern
are
China.
some of the best.
They
because
are,
They're just
they are.
Arty.
Yeah.
The hard
You
they
know,
can
It just
fill
hits
you
the
up.
spot. Yeah.
Pop up a photo of Huangmen Fan yellow braised chicken. There's this place called Yang's. I'm telling you, you can add things to it. You can take things out depending on what your tastes are.
Yeah.
Is it like
It's the best chicken stew, but it's not a stew. It's like a
Hainanese chicken style?
no. It's different. It's different. You guys
No,
just
no,
got to.
It's braised.
It's
It's
more
like,
like
in a pot.
Jim Doc or Doc Jim Yum.
I love dim sum, but that is something that I eat less of.
Why?
To be honest.
Because of carbs?
Not just that.
Can't
I just
wake up.
like I think that it's just a lot of meatballs.
It's just a lot of
That's what dim sum is. It's a lot, of meatballs.
balls.
Meatballs wrapped in tofu skin, meatballs wrapped in a crystal skin, meatballs wrapped in a
I think
a
like
wheat skin.
I think
That's
a
true.
lot of Asian Americans, we kind of get stuck on just what we got exposed to growing up, and we don't even peel back the layers. Like Cantonese, there's this gaipo, which is like a chicken hot pot with coconut slices in it from Hainan or Macau, I think. And then like that is even like a deep cut thing that you have to really. There was only like 2 spots in Flushing that do it, and there's like no spots in the city.
It's like all the rare shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the rare shit that's popping over there,
Yeah.
that's not necessarily popping over here. We got to get off what our grandparents and our parents only introduced us
yeah,
to.
get off that shit, man.
No, not that
Yeah,
it's
fuck
not
that shit.
not
No,
that
I'm
it's
just
played
kidding.
out as whack.
Sounds like a drug. Like
Not that it's
yo,
played out
drugs,
as whack,
kids.
but it's like we to get to know ourselves, and we have to like peel back the layers, and we have to peel back the layers for other Asians too. Like I won't just try like pad Thai, right? If you're an Asian and you go to a Thai restaurant and you only get pad Thai, shame on you, right? Because you being too basic
Yes.
and you're not even doing the work to understand other groups that are not your own.
And what I think is, and I think, shout out, I want people to enjoy delicious food, and I think they should, but like try to derive as much content or knowledge and experience from it. Like what I would hate is that people take out, they go out once a week or twice a week to the city for dinner, and then they just go to a restaurant. They're like, okay, I'm trying this new thing, but you just eat it and you take a picture and then you don't think about it anymore.
Mm.
And I'm like, you don't have to blog about it, but like ask questions about it, learn about it. Like, where does this dish come from? Even if the server doesn't know, just make it an experience for you.
Make
because
them ask the chef.
yeah,
Yeah.
make it like a museum for you. Like, who cares? Like, ask questions. You're tipping them, you're paying them. Like, you know what I mean? So derive as much as you can from those experiences and not just the delicious calories. It's yummy food. I get it. But like, make it in an exploration. And that's how you're going to be able to make it worth it more. Because food is getting expensive now.
Plus, there's no downside to it because if you went there and you got something new, you tried something new, and you didn't like it for whatever reason, you can always default back to the pad Thai next time, right?
That's
you can
right.
always come back to the exact same
I
place,
don't know
right?
why people are so scared. And it's not, I'm not saying that all people do this, but I know it's like white people or white Americans, they're so scared of not liking something.
It's okay to not like something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Chinese dishes that I do not like.
Yeah, but you're glad you tried it because you have it in your Rolodex,
Right,
in your
That's
mind.
why a
man.
lot of, even at our Asian friends spots who are kind of fusion Asian spots, some of their best sellers are still the burger because people know that form. Like it's a no-brainer. Oh,
Right.
we're going to a Korean restaurant. Oh, they got a burger. All right, chill. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you're just going to get the Korean burger.
It's
you know what I mean?
familiar. Yeah,
It's a familiar form, but like not everybody has the energy because it does take energy to process new things. Complex identities are tiring to consume. And that's why that's a lot of the issue in politics right now is that everybody has these complex identities. And for some people to try to understand it all, it's like mind-boggling to them, which I get it. That is tiring.
And that's why, just to wrap it all up, that's why I like your guys' podcast too, because you are talking about things that are not necessary to think about. Like no Asians need to think about the difference between a Cantonese and a Korean bakery. In terms of like them making their parents proud to go to a college or making a lot of money, you would never need to understand
It's
it.
not important. Yeah.
It's completely outside of the pursuit of those two things, right?
Yep.
Or even like being lit at the club. That's completely actually outside of that thing. That's your third pillar of your life. But it's like, it's still important to do it, because then otherwise somebody got to do it.
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
Somebody got to turn this thing over in their mind and flip it over and examine it.
Two dumb people from Queens have to get all this shit. The final segment of the podcast is called Ranting and Raving. We each take a couple minutes or just a minute quickly to rant about something shitty going on in our lives. It could be completely unrelated to what we're talking about, unrelated to anything.
But it should be personal.
It should be personal, or rave about something good. All right, Ben, you want to kick it off, or should I?
Go for it, man.
All right, so I drove in today with my car, and whenever I drive into the city and I park in a garage now, I never take my newer car. I always take my older shitty car. Because last month when I came to the city with my wife, we came in and it was like a line to get into this garage that we prepaid for on Spot Hero, right? But then I watched the guy probably scratch up 3 cars as he was moving them back and forth and everything. And there was this one car that was like 2 cars in front of me. He didn't want to wait any longer, so he gave the keys to the guy and said, "Hey, my car is double parked there. Can you just like pull in whenever you have the time?" Right? The guy's like, "Cool." I saw another car from the street, just like sideswipe that car and just leave. So my tip is like, when you drive to the city and you're going to park in a garage, if you have the luxury of having 2 vehicles, bring the one that you don't care about as much. Like, don't bring the nicer vehicle to the city.
That's crazy. That guy just like,
Yo,
he didn't know.
That's crazy. Swiping a car is crazy.
He did not give a shit.
Who had the nicer car? What was his car?
What were the cars?
Yeah, right.
It was a car-on-car crime, but what
was
the
the nicest car?
modeling?
Yeah.
There was no nice cars in there. There were just newer cars. I'm trying to say.
Oh
here,
man.
Right? And my car is definitely not nice.
Just committed like $20,000 worth of like damage.
Right.
Like property damage
Plus, you
and
would
shit.
never know, right? You go pick up your car, you tip the valet guy, you get in your car, you drive the hell away. No
And
one's
you gotta
doing like a
tip.
360 inspection of their car when they pick
Now,
up
are
a
you
valet.
going to snitch on him? Or
No, it's not my problem.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I just want to move on with my day.
For
That's fair.
500, I'll keep my mouth shut. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Ben, what do you got?
What's it? So I have an old dog that you know, I love him to death and
18
stuff.
years old.
No, 17 now. It's just 17, but he's still old, right? So what's it? It's hard raising an older dog, you know. But my mom, she's very like spiritual when it comes to the death. She's like super Catholic, right? So like death doesn't scare her, you know. But she was just like, she's just like nonchalant. Comes up, she's like, "Oh, I thought the dog died." I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, yeah. So she's like, "Yeah, I thought he died because he just didn't wake up." So I started kicking him, and then he just woke up like, "What the fuck and shit." I was like, "Mom, what the fuck is wrong with you?" He's old as fuck. He's like, "I think he died." I didn't know. I was like, how else do you check and shit? I was like, "Put the finger in the nose, maybe." I don't know. So, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
I could just picture her like nudging a
She
dog.
was, yeah,
Like,
with her slipper, just like a fucking gas pedal. Like, you're awake. Oh shit, my bad. Like that's pretty much it. But
shout out to your dog.
yeah, shout out to my dog.
Shout out to your
yo.
dog.
Yeah, fuck that.
Shout out to your mom. Shout
Yeah.
out to your dog.
Cute little guy.
That's actually a pretty funny story, but
Thank you,
I
thank you.
think people would, maybe Americans might be like, "I know it.
I was just gonna say,
You're about to hate him."
yeah. What's that company with the pets and stuff? There was no animals abused.
She had the soup boiling already. She was getting ready. She was getting ready.
yeah, like a lobster boiling.
Yo,
shit.
I don't know how far back you guys know this skit, but do you guys remember you kicked my dog?
No,
That prank phone call
oh yeah,
that went viral on Napster like
yeah.
15 years
Holy
ago.
crap! I forgot about
That's
that.
anyways. I don't
Was
wanna
that the one where
divert
they
it.
called the Chinese restaurant?
There was a lot of prank calls.
There was a lot.
prank
I
call
remember that
group,
one too. The Chinese restaurant.
CYK, and they were like calling. I think it was white dudes that were doing.
I
like,
think they were white dudes. Yeah.
Shout out,
that was the
Yeah.
first like.
racist but funny. Honestly.
Yeah, the first.
They were better at
Hey,
accents
that's the
than you would
kind of
think.
comedy that
The golden age of
shaped
comedy.
my-
The
we
golden
gotta
age.
protect that. The more racist, the better, guys. All right, we gotta protect that.
All right, guys.
If you don't have one, I got one.
We'll go first.
All right. Speaking of dogs, too many dogs in the city, man. Too
Oh.
many dogs in the city. There's too much dog shit on the sidewalk.
I agree. Oh,
These buildings and I love this building, but there's a lot of dog owners in this building. They don't necessarily clean up after their dogs.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of buildings over there. We all know a lot of people got dogs during the pandemic because they were lonely. And a lot of people are work from home. So they got dogs. They're not training their dogs. The dogs are pooping everywhere. On the sidewalk, there's tons of big dookies everywhere. And I'm just like, I don't know if New York was supposed to have this many dogs. And they're not even hunter dogs. They're not dogs chasing down rats. They're not these wolf dogs. Not these these dogs that can like protect your family.
Farm
These are like
dogs,
these
yeah.
are just like okay, Frenchies.
Useless.
Frenchies are great, but they're very like expensive and useless. Like
Who decided that the worst city on planet Earth to have a dog needed to up the dog
More
volume
dogs.
by 5x.
Why do you want a Shiba in New York? You know how much space Shibas. You know how
They
these big
need
dogs need
a lot,
spaces
yeah.
to run. You think your dog loves your 1,000-foot apartment?
You know what's the worst part? Like some people will pick up the dog shit with the bags and just leave it on the floor. I'm just like, what the fuck is
Wait,
the point of
it's
that?
in the bag,
The
but
little baggie,
in the same area?
and they'll just leave it there. Like it's like a fucking, you know, when you play golf, you leave like a quarter and shit. Like that's where the ball was.
Why would a dog like New York when there's cars, scooters, people,
I don't
zoom,
know.
zoom, zoom, trash,
And there's
zoom,
not
zoom,
enough grass. It's just all
Everywhere.
concrete, you know,
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not
prison.
good.
Actually, if you think it's like dog
It's a
prison.
terrible place for dogs, for
Yeah.
big dogs at least.
I guess my one rant would be just the amount of like cool Asian food from Flushing that's like super deep cut that makes it into the city is too slow. Like you
the
see it.
boo.
I think you can get like Tanghulu now at Machi Machi in K-Town, but like it should have happened like years ago. But it's like very, very slow. Like, you know, like it is true. Like, you know how Manhattan, the Asian food, they have a lot of Asian food, but it's kind of like out of 5 levels, maybe level like 1, 2, maybe level 3.
Yeah.
But the level 4, 5 stuff, Queens only.
Queens only, Flushing
For sure.
specifically,
But
yeah.
it's like, I don't understand why, what do people just, I think the people who are cooking the 3, 4, 5 level Asian food in Queens, they don't believe that the city will take it.
Exactly.
But I think that it probably would though.
It-
But they
it'll
don't
kill
believe
it.
though.
Someone has to take that risk, and they're not willing to take the
Because
risk.
it is a risk. It is a risk.
It's safer just to do that. To do it in Flushing.
Because obviously in a place like Queens where everybody's like so Asian, they want to eat all 5 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
But there's a feeling that Manhattanites only want level 1 and level 2, right? Like kind of like the more surface level
you got to
dishes.
put it into a hamburger form or something, and then they'll be into
Put
it.
it, put it in a burger. You want people to eat something? Put it in a burger.
I'm just saying, I want more. Somebody got to take. You know, it's easy for me to just sit and tell people to take the risk because I'm not doing it.
Because you're not the one
Do it.
flipping the
Don't be
bill.
scared.
Do it for us, guys. Do it for
Yeah,
us.
do it for us so we don't have to go to Flushing.
Yeah.
Andrew, David, thank you for inviting us into your house. Thank you to the weather gods that it's cloudy today so that the sun is not super bright ass behind us, so you guys can actually see the nice view behind us. Which bridge is that right there? That is Manhattan Bridge?
Yes.
All right, guys, if you want to see where they live, find this bridge.
Yeah.
You could geotag them.
Yep.
Find
Yes.
this exact angle of bridge. See what altitude
I
we're
don't
at.
think you can miss it. Yeah.
See which altitude we're at, and then we can figure it out. Dude, thanks for inviting us to your home. Really appreciate it. Thanks
Appreciate
for coming
it,
on
man.
the
Thank
podcast.
you.
Long time in the making.
It's been a long time trying to get this together and everything, but I think we had a good time. Hopefully, we can have you on a future episode. We'll keep it away from your personal history. We'll do like something fun maybe in the future, okay?
Talk about
no, it was
Queens. No, we're
This
about
was
to
fun.
talk about. You guys are about to do our pod.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
yes.
shit.
Talk about Queens. I
talk
want
about
to
Queens.
ask you guys about Queens.
Oh, damn.
Andrew, you're the best. Do all the plugs that you need to right now.
Check out smallasauce.com. Really good chili oil, finishing oil made with real truffle. Mixture between the Italian and Mala chili oil. Check out Ham Choi. This is from Fierce Whiskers Distillery, Asian owned, based out of Austin, made in Austin. A high level, state of the art distillery. There's some whiskey nerds. Those are just brands that we want to shout out. Check out Hop Hop Boys. Check out our channel, Asianology. January 1st, 7:30 p.m. You guys are invited to come.
Not to do a set, just to be in the
If you
audience.
guys want to do
If
5
you-
minutes,
If you guys got a couple minutes, let me know.
Yo, you know what's funny?
And we
Ben,
can talk about it.
Ben has always said he wants to do stand-up.
I know, but I can see it in Ben.
Yeah.
I can see the.
Look at you
I can
point.
see it.
it's 3 minutes.
He has
I
always
can
said
see
he
it.
wanted to do
Yo,
stand-up.
Gonna let you guys know.
If you got
Yo, 3 minutes.
3
but
seconds.
maybe before we open the show, like the
like
pre-show.
a funny
the
story, you know,
pre-show.
just keep it easy. Don't you don't have to worry about joke structure and stuff like that.
Well,
Anyways,
people are still getting drinks.
yeah, people
Okay.
are very supportive. I think they'll support a big Korean guy. Anyways, guys, check it out. Thank you so much. Shout out to the Worst Asian Podcast. I'm glad we had the Worst Asian Podcast here, so can only get better from here up. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, if you want to stay up to date with what we're doing on a daily basis, follow us on all the social medias, TikTok, LinkedIn, I don't know, Snapchat, whatever, Instagram, at Worst Asian Pod, okay? All right, until next time, we'll catch you guys next time. Adios.
Peace.
Bye.
Thank you.